Hey, this is Lisa from coochieCoochieCoo.com. Today I'm going to show you a really useful hand stitch, which is used frequently in embroidery, called the blanket stitch. Blanket stitch is sewn around the edge of a fabric. You can do it either with a single layer, or you can put 2 or more layers together by sewing them together with this blanket stitch. So for example, here we have a couple of circles of felted wool sweater that I embroidered a snowflake onto, both sides, black and a white one. You can download my free template. It's a printable template for the snowflake from my website. I'll put a link to that down below that you can see. Now, you could normally just do a regular whip stitch, but that's not really that nice looking. So I want to use a blanket stitch. So let me show you how to sew a blanket stitch. Take a scrap of fabric. I'm going to use this scrap of felted wool sweater again because I use felted wool sweaters for a lot of things, and so I have a lot of scraps, but also because it's a nice thick fabric and it's stiff, it's pretty rigid, so it's very easy to practice a blanket stitch into. Then I'm going to take my needle and thread. You can use regular thread, you can use embroidery thread. I'm using this thick embroidery thread just to make it easier to see. Now normally when you hand sew, you start from the right and you work your way left, or at least that's how it works with righties. I'm actually not sure if lefties start from the left and work their way right, but if you are a lefty and you hand sew, leave a comment below and let me know if you hand stitch from left to right or right to left, because I actually am pretty curious about it. Anyway, normally you sew from right to left. The blanket stitch, however, goes from left to the right. It works backwards. So here's how you do it. First, stick your needle into the fabric from the back to the front, a little bit away from the edge of the, there we go, from the edge of the fabric. Pull it through. I've tied a knot so that it gets blocked back here. Okay, when I start off, I'd usually just go through again just to create a loop on the edge of the fabric and kind of try and pull this up here. All right, now you're going to stick your needle in a little bits away. The important thing is you want your needle to come out the same amount of space from the edge as this original one was, to make it look cleaner. Okay, so start pulling through. I like to put my finger here just to hold the loop because you don't want to pull all the way. When it gets to about here, you're going to take your needle and slip it behind this back part of the thread here. Okay, so you can see here, let me just twist it to show you a little bit better. So pull it through here and pull the thread through, and you can see it catches. And the thread goes along the edge. This first one's a little bit wonky just because this wasn't a blanket stitch, it was just a regular stitch. There you go. And you can see this thread is along the edge there. Let's do it again. So this time, not only do we want to make sure that the needle is coming through the same distance from the edge, but you also want to make it so it's the same distance between stitches. So pull through. I always put my finger here to catch the thread before it gets pulled through all the way. Okay, now it's caught. Put the needle behind and pull it through. And again, if you want to help it to pull it so that it goes properly, you can just do it gently like that. There we go, see? And the threads, whoops, that's the thread from the knot. The threads stay on the edge of the fabric like that. So again, we put in the needle. It's the same distance from the edge and the same distance between one stitch and the other. Pull it through, put your finger there to block it. The needle goes through the back, pull it up, and here we have our stitch. Again, needle through the back, same distance from the edge, same distance from the other stitches. Pull it through, put your finger there to block it, needle through the back, pull it through. Oops, don't catch your fabric. Okay, and there you go. you continue doing it this way all the way down your project. This one I did a little bit too close to the edge because the fabric isn't perfectly straight. Let's do that again then to show it a little bit better because that one's a little messy looking. So here we have our little loop here. Put your needle through, pull, and there we go. Remember, we're always going towards this side here. Okay, again, this, you can go for different effects. You can have your stitches be closer together or further apart. Just realize that if they're further apart, they can get a little bit loose. So I'd like a happy medium like this. Okay, again, see, the same distance from the edge and from the stitch, pull it, and there it is. The same distance from the, whoops, there we go. That was a little too close, so I redid it. Okay, pull through, and there we go. And this is your blanket stitch. Now what about if you have your 2 layers like this? It's pretty much the same thing. Just start from the inside of between your 2 layers like this. Let's get a little further from the edge. This way you can hide your knot on the inside. Let's just stick that there. There we go. Let's make sure that the layers are the way we want them. I want the tips of the stars to match up because this is going to be the top of my ornament. So first I'm gonna just go through just to block off the top here. Alrighty, there we go. And we just work our way around the same way that we did, just obviously because we're on a curved edge, we're gonna have to curve along. So catch the thread, put it through, and pull it like that. Again, put it through. Okay, take your stitch like this. It's the same distance from the edge and from the previous stitch. Pull through, and here it is. And we're going to go that way all around the edge of this ornament. All right, so I've gone most of the way around my ornament here. You can see how it is around the edges. Now, I actually do have enough thread to finish going around, but let's imagine that you run out of thread and you still have more to do. Because each stitch attaches to the next one, this can be a little bit stressful. So pull off your the last stitch as best you can. You're going to need to make a knot. Because I'm doing 2 layers, I'm just gonna kind of stick it in here on the inside and make my knot there. So let's see, first pull it through here and then just grab my stitch. If you're doing regular embroidery, just pull it to the back. It doesn't really need to be perfect in this case because I'm just going to be hiding it on the inside. Snip off the thread. Okay, now let's thread your needle with the new thread. Okay, here's my needle with the nice long thread. I've already tied a knot in the end. All right, let's take our project here. Again, start from the beginning, from the inside rather, and pull your needle out where you already have a stitch here. This is your last stitch. Pull it right through the same spot where that stitch is. The knot is going to be on the inside. It's going to be hidden. There we go. Now we're just going to take this stitch one more time. Now here's it is on the back. Just pop it right through. Make sure in the front it's coming out in the same spot. Okay, pull it through almost all the way through, but stick your needle through like this. We're not going from the back, we're going through the front this time just to kind of catch it because we want to bring the thread back here so it's on the edge. And there we go, it's as if we never stopped in the first place. Just continue going as you had before. Okay, we've made our way around all the way to where we started. So let's take our last stitch. There we go. Now, however, there's this little space. There is this little space left here. So we're going to go again right over that first stitch. We're going to go in. We're going to go in where it began and out where it came out. Pull it through, okay, and like you normally do, the blanket stitch like this. Okay, and you are done. Now all you need to do is tie off a knot and cut your thread and you are all done. In this case, I'm actually going to make a big loop and tie it back on to make a string to hang this ornament from. And here we have your beautiful blanket stitch right along the edge of your fabric. Hope you enjoyed this sewing tutorial. If so, head on over to coochiecoochiecoo.com and you'll find all sorts of sewing technique lessons as well as practical tutorials for making all sorts of great projects. Also, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel where you'll find great sewing technique and project tutorials. See you soon!